As a former addict, I can tell you, you start accepting mediocrity in one place, and it is a contagious virus that infects the rest of your life. Sometimes slowly over years in normal cases, and then in addiction, very rapidly it takes over your life and your personality and your motivations and who you are and what you're after. And it just infects everything. But yeah, you start small with compromises, and you end up compromising everywhere. And you just wake up and maybe you hear a podcast like this or something, and you look in the mirror one day and you really take account of if you were 30 years older and looking at your son's life and this was how he was going about his life, not in what the world sees of you, but what you see of you in every aspect of your life, would you be proud?
To another great episode as we talk about the cure for being mediocre. Brian, we know this is one of the many things that you are plagued with, and so we are so excited to hear what cure you finally come up with. We'll be able to
mediocrity.
digest
mediocrity is one of the things I'm yes. Yeah, 100%. It's definitely something that I'll be, as I speak today, I'll be speaking directly to the mirror and also to the driver and the van that we're in the passenger seat of right now. You too.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure the person on the other side of the screen as well. So it shall be an episode that will be good for all of us to hear. And I'm looking forward to the content as we dig into the introduction. First, we're going to kick it off with a quote, Brian.
Perfection is not attainable. But if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Vince Lombardi.
Yeah, a little football action for me. That's right.
Yeah.
How those Lions doing this year?
Pretty good, bro. Pretty good. 5-2 and decimated the at the time top-ranked Tampa Bay Bucks on Monday Night Football last week.
Maybe we shall see each other in the NFC Championship game this year. I don't know.
And then we had a bye this weekend. It's just lame because Green Bay got up on us a little bit.
That's a good quote there to kick it off with. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's really what we should be shooting for. I'm sure there's plenty of other quotes you could have used in that case, but excellence is a great word to describe what we are shooting for and trying to achieve. And in so many ways, you may wake up and pee excellence in the morning. Some of you out there, fortunate ones. Others of us are still shooting for that star.
Plumbers.
But it's going to be a good conversation as we talk about the cure for being mediocre. And I'm looking forward to diving into it and understanding perhaps more about myself, more about you as the listener, and digging into this topic, which is relevant to all of us.
But first, we'll hear from one of our valued listeners.
Right. And this is somebody who has already demonstrated themselves to be on the excellent side of the equation. No mediocrity found here because they took the time to leave a review, which is that is excellent by nature, Brian.
Superb.
So, who are we putting in the spotlight today?
The dude to listen to for plumbing sales. 5 stars. An extremely good listen for anyone looking to get better at sales in home services, but the person to trust in particular for plumbing sales, info, and guests. Trustworthy advice. Tim Brown, Hook Agency.
Oh, all right.
We were just talking about, Tim. Was that this morning we were talking about?
It was this afternoon. Well, this afternoon for me, but yeah, we were just talking about Tim.
Yeah, we were on a call with one of our social media people, and I was just saying, like, what Tim with the man on the street recording and interview stuff that he does at like Pantheon and Home Service Freedom and the events, kills it with that content. Such cool content. He does a great job with the social. Yeah, and a better job reviewing the Waste No Day podcast. We appreciate you, bro. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. And shout out to anybody who can do a good interview. That's not a skill that everybody possesses, and anybody who can do that, especially on a format such as that's impressive. You already are excellent, Tim, my man.
Killing it.
Well, I tell you what, we're looking forward to diving into this, Brian, and we're going to go ahead and squeeze both of our cheeks back into that passenger seat and get right to the topic at hand, which is, again, what we're talking about, the cure for mediocrity. And so let's kind of walk on into this conversation by talking about why we're even doing this episode.
Great question. Or great statement that demands an answer. I guess it wasn't really a question. I would say because mediocrity is a disease, that it's one of those few diseases that people don't want to admit having. And again, including the man in the mirror here. But it's all around us, right? It's in the trades, it's in our habits, it's in the mirror. Everybody wants to be uncommon, or most people do, right up to the point where it's time to do uncommon things. And then all of a sudden it gets to where I'm okay being common. So we can't live like every other technician out in the home services, like all of our competitors, and then expect to earn like the top 10%. We can't hide behind the, I'm just a plumber, I'm just a tech, I don't like sales. You chose a career where people call you to solve problems, not to show up and blend in with the crowd.
I appreciate that, Brian. And as I'm thinking through this here myself, one of the questions I think is fundamental to answering the topic is, who defines mediocre? Like, is that self-imposed? Is that measured against a standard that is set across an industry or an ecosystem, a people group, or a predefined subset of something or other? Like, who is the one who is defining mediocrity? Because, some people may be thinking like, hey, I'm doing pretty good. And then compared to such and such, I'm like, well, not that good, right? For example, I prior to recording this episode, I just got home from watching the Warwick Warriors high school boys soccer team beat Manheim Township. That's right, Ryan Vayu, if you're listening to this, beat Manheim Township 3-0 in the semifinals of the tournament they're playing in.
It can take 6 weeks to get 3 points in a soccer match.
That's exactly right. I saw 3 all in the same game. It's impressive. But so I'm watching these guys, and they have multiple seniors playing on the team. I think they're the defending state champs, which is obviously pretty impressive to begin with. And then this coming Saturday, I'll go to my oldest son, his soccer tournament. He's playing U15, and my second oldest son, his soccer tournament, he's playing U12. And I can look and watch their games, and I can be like, wow, pretty good player. Like, he's got good skills or whatever. And then I go to the high school game, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we got long ways to go. We got a lot of skills to develop. We got a lot of strength to get in the gym, all this stuff. Because, when I'm comparing against other players of his age or his caliber or whatever it may be, yeah, that's my judgment. But then when I elevate the judgment, now we're back in the mediocre category. And I'm sure if I went to a Premier League or MLS is starting their playoffs here shortly, it'd be even more so, right? So who is the one?
It's embarrassing that you know that, by the way.
Yeah. Who is the one who defines mediocrity, and what is fair when it comes to judging?
That's a good question. One, I wish you had texted me earlier, so I could have chat GPT'd it. But I would say, certainly the biggest judge of your effort and whether you're acting mediocre or pursuing excellence or perfection is you, right? Can be the only true judge of that. But, the world is plagued with, and the trades are plagued with, and social media is certainly plagued with people who want excellent results and praise for absolutely mediocre at best performance, right? And when you see mediocrity in someone else, when you see unrealized potential, not unrealized potential like a coal that hasn't had the pressure to turn it into a diamond yet, but when you see a coal with a little bit of diamond shining, and that it just grows legs and runs away from pressure every chance it gets, and you just sit here and go like, you can, I'm sure you're thinking of a dozen examples of this, or 100. I'm certainly thinking of dozens, even young Brian and current Nate. But when you You grow legs and you just pick up and you run away from pressure anytime it comes near you, and you see these cats and you're like, you have all the raw talent in the capability in the world, right? The capacity for greatness is there, but your work ethic or decision to actually go after it, the talk's there, right? But the roll up the sleeves and get to work on a long timeline to develop into something is just like not really there. That's mediocrity that the whole world can see, right? And I've had people tell me that. I remember guy Jeff on our team in Las Vegas 20 years ago once told me, like, bro, you could be a rock star, but you're your own worst enemy. And that's stuck. It didn't mean much to me at the time. I'm just like, piss off or whatever. But later on, certainly when I got out of rehab, that just rattled around in my head nonstop. And still to this day, I'll catch it every now and then. And I don't even think I realized what he meant at the time, but it was the thing where you could see the seeds of greatness in me, but the lack of enough desire to actually roll up my sleeves, put the boots on, and make it happen on a long-term, consistent basis. That's chasing mediocrity. Short spurts of flashes of full-on drive, followed by long periods of I got to put my feet up and my hands behind my head. But bro, that one day, right? That one stretch of 4 days, like, it's just that's mediocrity.
You see, I think there's also something about like what people expect of you that really influences this. Have you ever watched Hillbilly Eulogy?
Is that the
That's the J.D. Vance life story.
Vice. Yeah, yes, Vance.
Yeah, hear me on this. I'm not trying to be political at all, but like if you know his story,
it's cool.
Like, the dude,
you're in a safe space, bro.
The dude, like he has no business being anywhere where he's at right now. Like he has no business from a statistical perspective, from like what happens to people with his background. Just a train wreck of a childhood with all kinds of things against him, and like overcoming. And most people would say, like, dude, if you just moved out of your hometown, you have already exceeded every expectation that has been set for you, and you are not mediocre at all. Like you are excelling at the greatest possible potential for somebody with your background and your, heritage or genetics or whatever.
But he didn't. But mediocrity would have been just getting out and doing a little bit better than where he came from. But he was chasing.
That's self-defined, right? Like he had to be the one, or somebody in his life. Somebody had said, like, "Hey, dude, like, yeah, moving out of your town, that's cool and all, but like that's not enough." Even though everybody from his family and like his friends group growing up on that stuff would say, like, dude, you've made it. Like you got out of here. You've made it. But like that wasn't enough for him. And he push and all the education, politics, blah, 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 the rest of the story. And just amazing how somebody can come from such humble means and such lowly places and like continue to basically break every glass ceiling on the way up and out. And that's often with a lot of people saying, dude, you can't do that. Like not only are, people with your last name, like they don't do that, or people from here, they don't go places. Like also like
there's no better fuel though.
They'll say like, you don't deserve to do that. Like you have no business going and hanging out with those people and doing those things. And like, that was really part of his story. Because even after he moved out, like his family, drug addicts and everything else, like kept pulling him back. They kept pulling him back, trying to bring him back down. And like, how many of you listening have people in your life right now that they're the anchor that is preventing you from getting anywhere else? They're the ones that is preventing you from actually exceeding mediocre. And that could be like physically, meaning that they're literally calling you back down or like holding you back down in some way, or it could be like mentally where they just keep pounding into your head. You don't deserve it. You can't do it. You're not worthy. You don't have what it takes. You don't deserve to be with those people. Your people don't make six figures, like all that stuff. It's all bull crap.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody gets, I don't know that that's real. Like people saying like, nah, not with your last name. You don't make six, but like a shaming of
For sure.
how dare you is the more realistic version. I've actually had this conversation in a text group with some family members where one of them was just like, I'm holier than thou, think I'm better than everybody. It's like, I mean, not everybody, but certainly you. You know what I mean? Like, come on. But there's that. That's the pullback. It's not the you don't deserve that, or that's what you say to yourself. That's what we sit and whisper to ourselves, not in those vocal of words, but we have this feeling like I've gone far enough. I'm not built like that. I don't come from that. I don't belong there. That's the bullcrap part. But
I can't sustain this level. Yeah. I mean, and that's so kind of back to the question, which is like, who is in charge? You know, maybe I asked it incorrectly. Who is supposed to set the definition for mediocrity?
I still think it's a combination, but it's probably 80-20. 80, the person looking in the mirror, and 20% outsiders. But the further, see, like there are people who don't make it very far at all, but their capacity to make it far, call it IQ or probably a mix of IQ and charisma and drive. It's just not that great. And they make it somewhere, and like for them, that's excellence, right? That's a tone set by them, but certainly the world can see it. It's not pitiful and pathetic unless the people around you see so much more in you and you just refuse to put that work in. That's when it's like, that's when the outside world is going to determine. But you don't need anyone else to, you know what you're capable of and what you're actually living up to. And it's like a waste. You feel like you have been given gifts and talents, and you're cool to be like, God wasted those on me because I'm doing enough, bro. I'm doing enough. This is cool. And I never had that conversation when I was squandering my gifts and abilities with anyone, but I've heard Jordan Peterson talk about things like that, and it's a smack in the face to younger me going, yeah, I wasn't, what gifts and talents were given me. Certainly I used them to get out of my situation growing up in Detroit, but I was not using them to their capacity until after I got sober. So I can still look back at years of wasted talents given to me and skills that I had developed for sure, that I worked for. Like, I'm not a sit with my hands behind my head and just assume that my gifts or my talents enough. I'm going out to fine tune and polish those talents and grow those muscles every opportunity.
But in that prior version of Brian, and many times in different stages of our life, we accept that this is good enough lie, right? And it is a lie. Dig into that, like what is it that allows us to accept that?
Good enough. I would say good enough is the most dangerous phrase in maybe not humanity, but in the trades, in a career, right? In a career, in a trajectory of a human being that's trying to accomplish something. That good enough lie is, and it's as much as I feel like people who grew up in a really tough environment and didn't have a lot of nourishment or positive feedback or motivation, we have a leg up on people who grew up too comfortable, because Like, I know what it means to scratch and claw my way through existence. And no matter what level I hit, I can still turn that on at any time and work. Like, if I don't hit this, whatever this is, we're not going to have food in the fridge, because I know what it's like to not have food in the fridge. So we have a leg up in that way. But the other side of that coin is real as well, where it's also a disadvantage, because when you hit a level, you hit a certain income or tax bracket, or however you measure success, a level of influence, whatever. It's so far beyond where you came from that it's easy to say that poisonous lie, this is good enough, right? And don't get me wrong, if I'm 68, it's probably time to be like, this was pretty good. I had a pretty good run. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I still want to get after it. But, you know, the guy
there's a balance to the equation, of course. Like, pursuing something so much that you sacrifice other things along the way can have adverse effects. We see that plenty of times in careers.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's more and more I'm finding that you can pursue all of the things together. So It's always, the older I get, the less I buy into balance, and the more I buy into almost like things don't have to be separate so much, right? Like, you are who you are. Everything you're pursuing, it's like the F wheel, right? Faith, fitness, family, and finances. One feeds the other. One should feed the other. It shouldn't be, I have to sacrifice these three to get this one. It should be, I'm going after all of these together with everything I have in me, right? And I'm getting better at it. As I get better at my career, I'm also getting better at being a father and all the other things. So it's like the guy who finishes the call, doesn't offer an upgrade, doesn't do a safety inspection, only looks at what he was called out for, and he says, it's working now. And he drives off proudly, thinks he's won because he didn't get a call back, I guess. I mean, like, I guess that's the win. But he lost because he never learned to serve beyond the bare minimum. That good enough. So if you want to earn average, mediocre money, well, do things averagely. Be mediocre. But don't call it bad luck. Call it what it is. Laziness, entitlement, and probably a bit of ego dressed up as satisfaction.
And that's an important point to make there, Brian. I'm thinking through this, like, what we need is an examination of our mindset around this matter, right? Because I think for many areas of our life, if the consequences of the acceptance of mediocrity are hidden and or only self-inflicted, we're far more likely to accept that as good enough than if we have to stare at the consequences of mediocrity through somebody else's eyes. So, case in point, when I got married, I found out I was a selfish person. Now, nothing changed. Zero things changed from before I was married to after I was married in terms of who I was. But a veil was torn off of my eyes when I was now committed to my wife in a loving relationship and needed to sacrifice more of myself. The same thing happened, even more so, that first child. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm a better man. I'm refined. You're like, I'm married now. I know what it means to, like, sacrifice and live with another person and, like, do life together. And then, the old kiddo comes along and you're like, good grief. How did people let us go on being so selfish this entire time and nobody spoke up? And again, zero things changed. I was the same dude.
You got to get some better friends and hold us accountable.
Right. The same dude before and after the birth. But man, having that having that first kid, especially the first kid, was like just eye-opening in terms of how much just self-sufficient slash self, care, or whatever you want to call it, self-motivated I was about things that I wanted to do. Like, this is my time. Like, no, you take care of the kid. It's your turn. Like, all that stuff. And it just got revealed. And now that those revealers of my selfishness are getting older and older, the consequences of my mediocrity are now staring back at me. Like, it's one thing to go into your career and, like, especially if you're a single person or you don't have a lot of people depending upon you or something, like, it's easier, I think, to accept levels of mediocrity, because if you disappoint somebody, you just disappoint yourself. Yeah, all right, whatever. Like, it wasn't my best, I'll get it next time. But wow, do the consequences get a lot bigger when you start demonstrating and living in mediocrity in areas of your life that have consequences, specifically consequences that have two eyes, two ears, and a mouth staring back at you. And you hear things and you see things and you watch this play out and you're like, this
That's
is
on
why
me.
I need to be better. Like, this is why I need to be better. Like, I cannot accept the level of mediocrity. I probably don't use that term, but like, I cannot accept my level of leadership, my level of fatherhood, my level of loving my spouse, you name it. I can't accept that when I have to stare at the consequence of those actions looking at me every day, or in this moment, or when I'm hear my son lip off to my wife, or when I hear them like making fun of each other, or calling each other names, or like being mean. I'm staring at my own mediocrity. I know they're individuals. I know they're
Yeah. Well, I'm
individuals,
going
and
to
they're
pull
never their
back a little
choice.
bit on the calling, picking on each other or being mean. It's like, yeah, I get it. Boys will be boys, right? But my
Yes, but
question
like,
is, did
it's there.
Alex beat the crap out of somebody at the soccer match, or did he get beat up? That's what I can't figure out. I'm trying to do the math here.
Yeah. No, I tell you what, like,
Like, I should have been in
I'm
the gym. I should have been on the mat.
right,
Should have
right,
been teaching
yes.
him to kickbox.
And see, like, okay, so some of our listeners, like, exactly what I'm talking about. You're 45 years old, you got a couple kids, like, you see this thing. Some of our listeners, you're in your 20s, you don't know a whole lot about this. Bear in mind, like, disappointing yourself will have the consequences of disappointing others later in life, especially if you patternize it into your life. If you just get to a place where, like, it's good enough, it's good enough for me, it's good enough. Guess who it's not going to be good enough for? Your future wife, your future kids, the people who are going to depend upon you in the future. And guess what? The next generation of tradespeople who's going to look up to you as a standard of excellence or a standard of mediocrity and say, well, that's what I have to shoot for.
I can hear the good enough, mediocre tool tech. It's the ones that, I post a TikTok video about how to overcome you're too expensive objection. And some HVAC tech will post on to the next job. Hey, if I'm not the guy for them, I'll go to a client that can afford me. It's like, and then it'll get like 200 likes. And I'm like, we don't swear on the show, but it's a struggle right now by these idiots. And that's the exact same person you're talking about. That's the attitude they put, I guarantee, toward their marriage. It's the attitude they put toward their kids. It's like, hey, I've done my part. I showed up. Like, the rest is on you, right? Because you're either mediocre and don't care and go at life casually, or you're attacking it, or you're giving it everything you have. It's like, for the boss, pays $150 for that lead, gasses the truck up and gets the lead on your schedule, and had the poor enough decision making to send you to that call, unfortunately for the boss, unfortunately for the client, and unfortunately for your team. And your MO is to go, oh, they said it's more money than they thought. I'm out of here. High five. Go find someone cheaper, right? You take it out on them. This is the person you're building yourself into. Just like, every time I see that comment on one of my posts, I'm just like, ugh. I mean, I wish someone would say that in person so I could be like, have a seat. We're going to talk all the way through this. And either you or I am, by the end of this conversation, one of us is coming to terms with the other one's point of view. And since I had that point of view 20 years ago, I can assure you it's not going to be me, but I'm willing to take the chance.
You see, there's an infection in that mindset that needs to be both called out and then cut out. Like, it starts off by
but we need
having
to be
mentors
louder
and people in your
about it
life.
on here, on social media. When someone says something stupid like that, all the people who see that comment and roll their eyes, they all need to comment or like my comment. But we need to call it out. Like, you're just a scumbag. You're lazy. You're useless. Go into commercial. Stop wasting people's time.
So what is it about that mindset shift that? Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
It's a lot of work.
Your thought.
They're soft. They're weak. They're fragile. If I try to overcome an objection, customer could bite my head off. And as tough as I am on this social media comment, I'm fragile and weak in real life and cannot take the idea that someone just personally assaulted me by telling me that I'm expensive and couldn't risk them doing it 2 more times by trying to talk through that with them. It's just weakness.
And so let's talk about that mindset, Brian. Do you think people who've generally accepted mediocrity, I think it's possible that you could accept mediocrity like in its entirety across all areas of your life, but it's probably more likely that you've accepted mediocrity in certain areas of your life. And you're really good at pursuing this and you kind of like just play level on the other one. Do you think most people?
It's not that it's actually not more common that that's the case, because as a former addict, I can tell you, you start accepting mediocrity in one place, and it is a contagious virus that infects the rest of your life. Sometimes slowly over years in normal cases, and then in addiction, very rapidly it takes over your life and your personality and your motivations and who you are and what you're after. And it just infects everything. But yeah, you start small with compromises and you end up compromising everywhere. And you just wake up and maybe you hear a podcast like this or something, and you look in the mirror one day and you really take account of if you were 30 years older and looking at your son's life, and this was how he was going about his life, not in what the world sees of you, but what you see of you in every aspect of your life. Would you be proud? Or would you come down and smack him in the back of the head and be like, bro, we got work to do?
So what the question I was leaning into there, Brian, is like, do you think people relatively have an ignorance of their own mediocrity that needs to be like called out and spoken into? Or do you think people more likely know their mediocrity and just accept
They don't think
it?
anyone else can see it.
Okay.
It depends. The lower level mediocrity cats maybe haven't been exposed to winning and like the victory mindset. But I would say the majority of people think that the way they talk about themselves is the way other people see them. And since everybody's just kind of so nice and go with the flow, they don't get called out and they don't get their crap pointed out. And they just drift and drift and drift. And sometimes somebody speaking into their life is the best thing that can happen. You and I have seen it go both ways, where people have stood up and said, you're right, and off we go. And then some people go the other way, which is get offended, lash out at you for delivering the message, and then go off and become bigger losers somewhere else.
Yeah, the defense mechanism is real.
I think they know for the most part. It's a known issue. But it's not known that other people know it.
You said something earlier, and I kind of want to push back on it a little bit and get your thoughts on it, around the idea that, you know that you were made for more, Like, you have skills and potentials that you're not utilizing to the highest capacity or potential. I like there for sure are people that I feel don't know that, and they need somebody to like speak into their life and unlock a new level, or something like that,
Yeah.
like get them in gear, or like show them a pathway that they hadn't seen before. Like, would you make room for that? Especially, I'm thinking generally on the younger side of things, that people who like they have you
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
the raw
Yeah.
potential there, but like they don't.
How many times did we get someone in the conference room and ignite a fire in them a decade ago that's still burning today? It's like 100%. I believe that. But yeah, I think there's plenty of people out there who have not, especially young men, man, like the ones we try to reach, the broken young men, which is so starving for both a word of encouragement for sure, but also a little flashlight on a path that says like, look, there is a path here. See, with this little light, you can see that there's a path to walk down. And that path leads to greatness in whatever capacity you're looking for greatness in. And you have 2 feet and a sense of direction. So you can just head down that path and you will get there. Right. And you have all the same skills that you have to be born with as everyone else who's gone down that path. You didn't need to come from money. You don't need to be college educated, high school educated in my case. You just need your 2 feet and your 2 hands and the willingness to forego Netflix and chill and the booze and the drugs and the opposite sex and just get after it.
Yeah, and that's kind of back to the mindset shift, which is, perhaps where a lot of this always starts, right? It's, so much around how we are viewing things, including our own mindset towards it, which is, one of acceptance, one of complacency, or one of drive. And speaking to myself in the mirror, like, absolutely not do I wake up every single day and look in the mirror and say, like, you're going to go get it today. Like, there's times when I wake up and I feel that way. There's other times when I wake up and I look at myself and I say, like, okay, we're going to fake our way until we feel it. And then there's other times, in full disclosure, where I feel like that just ain't going to happen today. Like, just ain't feeling it today, and allowing myself to go through that. And so, like, nobody here is saying like this is it's going to be a perfect approach. And that's kind of back to the quote that you started off with, from Lombardi, that perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. And that's in so many ways what it's about: chasing the right mindset while realizing it can be fleeting at times.
Yeah, that's a great point. The month of October, which we're at the tail end of here as we record this in 2025, it's been probably the toughest month for me in several years for getting my carcass out of bed at 3:45 in the morning and heading to the gym at 4:20, 4:25 to be there at 4:30. Now, dude, as soon as the gym door opens, it's game, like no problem whatsoever. Game on, right? But this has
That's
been
the
a
hardest
really
lift of the
difficult month
day,
for me.
right?
Lifting out of bed.
Lifting out of bed
Yeah.
and opening the gym door, the 2 hardest lifts of the day.
No. I'm cool, dude. So once I'm out of bed and like, take my leak and like get my water, and I'm pounding 24 ounces of water when I wake up, because you immediately have to hit the bathroom for one case or the other. So there's no going back to bed. So I recommend everyone put your phone with the alarm 20 feet away, right next to you on the headboard, big bottle of water. As soon as the alarm goes off, drink the water and then go grab the phone and turn the alarm off or hit snooze or whatever you're going to do, right? You got a minute or two until the water does its thing and you got to hit the bathroom. So, and by that, who goes to the bathroom and goes, all right, now I'm going back to bed with the snooze button hit? Not most people. So, but it's been a difficult month, maybe a little longer, where I have everything in me saying, stay asleep this morning. Like, you need the rest. And the woman next to me saying the same thing. You need to rest. But I get my, 7.5 hours of sleep. All right, 5.5, 6.5, 7. And that's the rest. And that's the time that I had to rest. I don't have that time at 3:45. Now it's time to get up, get the day rolling, head to the gym, crank out a good workout, get a nice pump, and then attack the day. But there's zero of this popping out of bed like I do probably the majority of the year, like raring to go, full of energy and like, let's get after it. And it may be, some soul searching time, because it could be maybe a lack of gratitude. Because if I'm really rolling in gratitude, I get up so thankful for the life that I live right now and how far we've come and like who we are as a family. And maybe just losing sight of that, getting buried in all the stuff going on. But yeah, definitely want to get back to it. But that is to say, like, wherever you're at, if you're like, I'm not a morning person, like, yep. I don't really know any morning people, despite all the people that I know who hit my gym at 4:30 when it opens. Zero of them are quote unquote morning people. Like, nobody's talking about how, I woke up at 2:50 today and just could not wait to get out of that bed. So I got out an hour early. It's like, no, it doesn't, there's none of that. We all hate getting out of bed and getting in there in the morning, but I've never left the gym thinking I should have slept more. It's never happened in 12 years of lifting.
Yeah.
So it's for you. It's for you. Believe me, it's for you.
It is.
And dudes with families, like heading home from work and hit the gym, you don't have time for that. Get home to the family.
Hey,
we got to get it. Heavy. We got to get it before everybody else gets up.
Heavy episode today. We need some jokes or something, Brian.
Oh, we'll get there, buddy. Top techs
jokes
and top people aren't really born. I don't believe in any capacity. I do believe they're built in the van, in the role play, in the training room, and in their own heads, and on that jujitsu mat where they're constantly going against their shadow, their weaker, less competent, more pathetic self, I believe, is where greatness is built. The common mediocre tech is always waiting for someone or something to motivate him or her. The pro builds motivation through repetition, through discipline. Being disciplined is the ultimate motivation. It is the ultimate goal, award to strive for. Discipline's doing what we said we would do long after the feeling that made us say it is gone. It's like, give me the person who starts working out on January 1st. I'm not proud of them. I'm not like, hey, good for you. It's like, oh, I'm glad you're here. Right. But like, if you're here
like
on Easter,
came up in
like, we're going to celebrate. Right. Yeah. But we're coming up on the end of the year, bro. I know that my gym is going to be a zoo now, even at 4:30 in the morning for a good 2-3 weeks. Half the guys in the trades think they're lions, but are really house cats with steel-toed boots. And it's I don't want to just say the trades. It's just in life in general, right? Just very little. It's just raw discipline. Just saying that you're going to do this thing and here's who you want to be. And then check back on you a year later and you're still doing the things that needed to be done for you to get there. And it's sad to see, because I want everyone to just look at me knowing all these things at 24 And where I'm at now and where I'm heading is phenomenal and really awesome. But I'm 10 years late. So I'm never going to be like, yeah, I don't want to wait until I'm in my 40s to do something I could have done in my 20s. Like me.
Right, that's a good point,
throw
Brian.
A little humor in there. You ready?
Yeah. Let's get after it, man. Let's laugh.
I don't know how funny they're going to be. I did some Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck, but I did it with mediocre tech.
Oh, boy.
If your favorite tool is your excuse, you might be a mediocre tech.
Not funny, but true. Okay.
If you know your commission rate like no other, but you have no idea what your conversion rate is, you might be a mediocre tech.
All right. A little close to home. Okay.
Yeah. And this one was probably a little less hitting, but if you're rolling your eyes through training and get upset at the newer guy who's passing you up in every way, you might be a mediocre tech. If you call yourself blue collar, but your work ethic is white collar, you might be a mediocre tech.
Ouch. Okay. All right.
The cure for mediocrity is not motivation. Unfortunately, man, because I love my motivating stuff, right? Like I love in these mornings where I've just been dragging myself out of bed in the most difficult fashion. I love that there's things I can listen to for 15 or 30 seconds, short clips, videos or whatever that amp me up and like let's go, you know? But by the time I'm out of bed, I don't have to have it anymore. I'm already out of bed. It's time to go, right? That's the issue. That's where mastery beats motivation. Mastered my morning. My 3:45 means it's time to get up. So it's discipline. It's not motivation. Train daily, role play constantly, rehearse like it's your job, review, study people, the core personality archetypes in blue collar closer, CORE. Learn who you're talking to, learn who you are, and then how your personality should talk to the 4 personality types. Refuse comfort. At times, you should not be comfortable because growth happens just slightly past boredom. Like you just got to get through it. Own the results. Own whether you won or lost. Stop with the excuses about dispatch, the warehouse, the customer's budget, which, I mean, it would be fine if you then blamed all of those things every time you actually sold something. But if you're taking all the credit when you sell, then you got to take the credit when you lose. But the idea isn't to beat yourself up. It's to not emotionally. It's to beat yourself up very physically and just own everything about yourself. Brian Tracy said, the world doesn't pay for average anymore. Those days are behind us. The world pays for mastery. And if you're getting average pay, it's because you're putting out average work. So if you feel stuck right now, it's not punishment, it's potential. We believe that God built you with significantly more horsepower than you might be using. And by you, I mean the people I'm looking at on the screen, which are just me and Nate, and the person in the driver's seat of this truck. The question isn't, can you be great? The question is, will you decide to be great?
So the prescription is discipline. And if one is interested in securing some of this medication, where should we start?
bluecollarcloser.com. No, I'd say that's certainly one of the steps, right? And it's a good place to talk about it because as this airs, it's not going to be on forever, but we have a 7-day free trial. Go to bluecollarcloser.com, click on become a member, download the school app, SKOOL. And you'll see right when you get in there, this is a different thing. It's a game changer. I mean, people are absolutely exploding in there. The results, their income, their mindsets, their friend group. They're creating new circles in there. Dude, we got people in there. We're now up to 3 live events a week as part of that group. And we got people that are there for all 3 of them. And then when we talk about throwing another one on the calendar, they're saying like, I'll be there. It's becoming their community, their circle. And then there's a full classroom in there with 10 to 20 minute videos of the entire GoPro selling system. But the 7-day free trial is like, you don't get access to everything for sure. Very little of the classroom, but you get the community, you get the live events that are happening during your trial, and get in there and get your toe wet and get a taste and see what a difference you think being part of a crew like this can mean for you. Because it's meant the world to a lot of people so far. It's a big deal, but you got to put in to get out. So it doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody's willing.
Such is the case with complacency and discipline. And that seems like a great place to wrap up the episode today, as we have both identified the issue with mediocrity and the cure for it, namely discipline. I hope that you enjoyed the episode today, and we do think it is one that is impactful not only in our own lives, but in really every single life and set of ears that is listening to this. If you think you know somebody who could use some more discipline in their life, send them this episode. But don't be surprised if somebody sends you this episode as well, because we can all use some more of that discipline. Yeah, if somebody just shoots you this like, yo, bro, you got to listen to this one. Guess who just got identified as mediocre? But that's okay. All right. There's growth, and there is the chasing of excellence, which is what we are on the road to be doing here. But please share this one around. Let people know that you enjoyed it. And you know what? If you're setting out on the course of changing your level of mediocrity, your acceptance of mediocrity, even if it's in a specific area of your life, we heartily encourage you to invite accountability into that process. Discipline, self-discipline is great, but is also very difficult. Self-discipline coupled with the discipline of accountability in your life is a powerful duo. And that could be the next thing that you need to get to another level, which we would love to see and we would love to hear about. So drop us a line about how you are making changes to your level of acceptance of mediocrity and what disciplines you're putting into place. We're going to leave you now with our weekly challenge, which continues to be the same: to choose to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.